It's called Overcome, and it's arranged by Bill Locklear. It is based on the song We Shall Overcome, which is, or has been for many, many years now, decades now, the torch song, if you will, for the American Civil Rights Movement. 2013, I think is a very significant year. 150 years ago, 1863, would have been the year of the start of the Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham Lincoln. 100 years ago, 1913, on February 4th, Rosa Parks was born. So she would have turned 100 this year. And everybody knows about Lincoln, and everybody knows about Rosa Parks, but not everybody knows about what happened 50 years ago in Selma, Alabama. Selma, Alabama is in a very rural part of the state, Dallas County. In that state, at that particular time, there were over 15,000 African Americans who were of legal age to vote, and only 130 were actually registered voters. The laws of the area precluded many of them from getting the opportunities. When they would go to vote on the very rare occasion where the voting registration place for them was open, there'd be arbitrary tests and arbitrary questions that would often make them say, sorry, you can't, sorry, you don't win, you don't get to vote. And around 1963, that's when people started to say enough in that area, and began to create larger groups saying we want this right to vote. Lined up 300 people at the voter registration place. People who helped those in line by giving them water, giving them support, were arrested. When 30 African American teachers went to ask for their chance to have a right to vote, the school board fired them that day, all 30 of them, right on the spot. But they didn't give up. They kept going, and eventually wanted to create a little bit more noise about the whole situation and decided to organize a march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. The first of 3 of these marches from Selma to Montgomery. The first one was met as they got towards the bridge towards Montgomery with a very violent police force and mob that killed a guy and sent the rest of them back. They didn't give up. They overcame and they kept working. The Civil Rights Act in 1964 was due in large part to these actions in Selma and in other actions in other parts of the South and really throughout the United States. We know certainly about Martin Luther King, and we know about all of those great moments, but they only would have happened had there been all these other little moments, all these little sparks. And that one in Selma, I think, was pretty important for something as simple as the right to vote. And a couple of generations later, we have an African American president. Whether you voted for the guy or not is of no significance at that point. It simply is a matter of comprehending the sheer magnitude that somebody in that position could get such an important and powerful position in the world. And if you backtrack, it didn't, I think, begin with Lincoln. I think it began with some of these folks down in Selma, Alabama. Certainly not knowing that some 2-year-old kid in Hawaii was eventually going to become a champion for their cause. So I present to you Overcome.